Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor. Welcome to Monday Mastery, where we take a pulse on the energies that we have just experienced, feel into what is available to us now, and call in guidance for how to move forward. This, of course, is a timeless message, even though I will take just a couple of minutes to review the solar weather, space weather, astrology of this past week. The timeless message will follow shortly after that. So make sure you stick around whenever you find this. It is still relevant for you. So another interesting week, nothing too terrible, but still causing pause, asking questions. What is it that we're experiencing? From a solar weather perspective, as far as solar flares are concerned, it was a relatively mild week, a handful of M-class flares and a handful of C-class flares each day. It looks like Thursday was the peak for C-class flares at 9, but for the rest of the week, it was relatively similar or less than that, with the exception, of course, of last Monday, which we had 15 C-class flares. So generally all in the ballpark of just a handful of M-class and or C-class flares each day. And yet, even though we didn't have a lot of registered or measurable class flares on the scales, we did have very palpable energy. And I think that caused a lot of pause, a lot of questions. A lot of people ask me, hey, what's up? What are you seeing out there? So we'll go through briefly some of the things that caused that pause. Interesting that the explanation of the energy wants to come through before we get into the specifics of that. And so I will say that we have been sort of on the heels of many weeks of intensity. I almost want to start saying many months now, that it seemed to start in early June. We had just sort of this massive uptick in energy, which was interesting because that was post-eclipse season. But it was as if we entered into this season of trial and testing, and we're on the heels of that now. I mentioned this the last couple of weeks. We're sort of in the decompression phase. It is not depression, it is decompression. If you've noticed, is similar to my experience the last couple of weeks or even couple of months. If you've had a really significant push to get things done, to stay on meaning engaged and pressing forward consistently, when you have that type of intensity, especially for a sustained period of time, you're going to have a decompression phase. You're going to have a period of time where we have to come back down from that. And we are in week 2.5, 3 of that sense, as I speak today. So just know that this is a collective, not issue, but challenge, I guess. We're collectively experiencing something similar. You may or may not be part of that collective. That's also a caveat to these energy readings, is there's a group of us who are in a similar space and there are many who are not. And if you don't resonate, that's great. It's just not for you. That's okay. You can go ahead and move on. But for those of us who are in a similar space and question, like, what the heck? It can be very helpful. It's also very helpful that I mentor and speak with a lot of people during the week, and I see so consistently the same pattern. People show up and be like, "Hey, it's a great week," and everybody that week is having a good week, and then, "Hey, it's a really challenging week. What's up?" Right? So I can speak from experience in meeting with a lot of different people. Most oftentimes, many people, if not most people, are experiencing something similar. So if you're having a hard week, do know that the people around you are also experiencing challenges, although they may be just of a different flavor. Okay, so what did we experience that caused some energy not concern, but disruption or intensity that did not register on our measurement systems? I did find a couple of things in digging in preparation for this today. So we did have a solar proton radiation storm on Tuesday. I don't know if anybody else noticed, but Monday, Tuesday, I was extremely fatigued, had to take a rest. And there are times where, you've got things planned and the calendar's blocked out and we're supposed to be doing these things. And yet the body says no, right? There's something coming in, we must rest. And so we listen. That is definitely a theme of, if you follow me, you'll know we've got to listen to the body. The body not only keeps the score, but is also more intelligent than the brain. And then the brain is often the last to know. So if the body says rest, please do listen. On Wednesday, we did see a lot of global lightning, which causes a spike in the Schumann resonance. And now notice this time of year, we do see a lot of seasonal lightning in the areas where the Schumann resonance devices exist. And so that means it's going to look like things are really crazy, but they're not as crazy as a lot of people are claiming to know or to assume, or we won't go there. It is true that if you experience a lightning strike just outside your house or a couple miles away, it does impact your nervous system. It does impact your brain waves. So while yes, technically the Schumann resonance spikes are due to seasonal storms and lightning, there is still a felt sense of it. And of course, even stress hormones are contagious. If someone is in the same room with you, we are constantly engaging with the electromagnetic fields of the beings around us. The measurement device that tried to measure how far our impact goes out measured out to 20 feet, and that device could only go up to 20 feet. So we still don't know exactly how far our energetic field extends. And so if people around you, or even if people in Italy and Russia are being impacted severely or at a high level due to the seasonal lightning, it still has a collective impact. So if you felt tired, distracted, agitated, even just a little odd or off throughout this week, it can partially be to the seasonal lightning and the Schumann resonance, if you will. It could have been partially due to the solar proton radiation storm that we saw on Tuesday. We had a couple of CMEs, coronal mass ejections, brush by the Earth. It was not even direct facing, but it certainly was felt. And not everyone is solar weather sensitive. I won't claim to love being solar weather sensitive, but it is helpful when I can say, oh, something's coming in, it hasn't registered yet, kids, go put your feet on the grass, right? So we did feel that certainly Wednesday and Thursday. We did also have an X-class solar flare that shot off on the far side of the sun, again, not Earth facing, but it did cause a coronal mass ejection. It was contributing to the proton storm, or creating a proton storm. And then also there was solar radiation, but again, not Earth facing, and yet we still felt some things. The people I engage with, our collective community. On Thursday, relatively mild, not much to speak of, but then we did start to see an uptick in a geomagnetic storm, really only reached a KP4, so nothing too major, but it was sustained Friday into Saturday. And so again, it's just more for the body to process. If you've ever noticed, essentially in psychology, we are like a cup. It's called the diathesis model. Our body, our being, our state of being is only capable of holding so much. This is why the brain and the nervous system are in charge of energy management. It is an energy conservation tool to make sure that we have enough energy to survive. And that means that we have a limit to our capacity. And so if there's a proton storm or a CME or a coronal mass ejection, which is a CME, or a solar flare, whatever it is, it's just more for the body to contend with. If you've got crying kids, if you've got I don't know why a flooding sidewalk just came to mind, but anything that you have to contend with is going to take just a little bit of your energy. And so the more of these things that are out there, even if it's, the geostorm's only a KP4, it still is taxing your energy just a little bit. And so if you're highly sensitive, like many in our community or in our collective, you may have felt that. So then moving into Saturday, again, just 5 M-class flares, 5 C-class flares, but one of those M-class flares was almost an X-class flare. I think it was a 9.99, I believe. So right up there. And again, the KP4 geostorm continued. We had a Halo CME that was launched that day, did not arrive, but did launch that day. We also saw some ultraviolet radiation hit the top of the Earth's atmosphere that caused a radial blackout in Japan, Southeast Asia, and half of the Pacific Ocean. So again, you can see how all of these things are just kind of whizzing by us, around us. So not technically hitting full force, which is a good thing, because we had so many different things that are sort of dancing around us, which reminds me of learning to stand still in the eye of the storm. That this is what it's all about right now, is learning to hold our peace and hold steady in connection to, eyes on the divine, one with source, as this interesting collective storm swirls around us, reminding me again of a tornado where we're just kind of picking everything up and we're tossing everything up into the air, and we will be plopped down into a new state of being over the next few years. So interesting how this all comes together. Sunday, yesterday, we had again 2 very high M-class solar flares, a 7.8 and a 7.7. We also have a cannibal coronal mass ejection, CME, on the way, anticipated to hit us July 30th, I believe, at the peak of what is being projected. And they can shift, things can change, but we were looking at 5 total CMEs on the way towards Earth right now. So do be prepared, which grounding, resting, water, taking care of yourself would be how to prepare. And also just be aware that when these things hit, it's not a big deal. Get your feet on the ground. I would be as flat on the ground as you possibly can for as long as you can when these things do come in. That grounding makes a massive difference. And then again, today we've already had an X-class solar flare, which of course I felt the fatigue. Really not exacerbating, but adding to the sense of purging and resting and recuperation, which I'll get into here in a minute. So if you are fast forwarding, we are now getting into the timeless message. Oh, before I do that, I will say we are also still in the waning moon, which means we're moving towards the new moon, which means the light is diminishing, which again, with the light goes our energy. So don't be surprised. Again, we're just being called to rest and purge and release and heal. It is an excellent time to let go of anything, whether it's consciously or physically. That could be just declaring health and healing and wholeness, declaring that illness leave you, looking at negative relationships, negative relationship patterns, negative thought patterns, any emotions or situations that are not benefiting you. State your intention to release those and let those go. Remember that you are a sovereign, powerful being, and you get to declare these things leave your body and your life. Take care of yourself, nourish yourself, and think of yourself and the things that you are cleansing out as creating space for this new that is coming in. And that is the seed that will germinate in the dark of the moon as we move back into the light coming soon. Do take stock of how far you have come. It's very important to do this. I love these weekly check-ins because it does kind of help us take stock of what did we just cover? What have we gone through? How do we want to move forward? I did mention eclipse season a little bit ago, and I will also say as of this week, as of the 19th, we are 6 weeks out from eclipse season. So don't be surprised if the intensity picks up. We've got the solar maximum that we are in, which of course will come with intensity. We are in election season, which of course, as we get closer and closer to that, that will come with greater and greater intensity. And then we're adding to that the eclipse season, which looks like it's going to be a fun one. So rest while you can. This is the timeless message. Rest while you can. Rest right now. There is always more purging. There is always more releasing. And so being able to let go of these things and fully, like even in my energy, there needs to be that decompression approach or posture to this message. We have to let go. Any type of resistance holds things in place. What you resist persists. So it is the melting into and the full surrender. Really notice every muscle in your body and let that tension go. It can be a very helpful practice to tighten and release, and tighten and release. And we're teaching the body the release, even in the tightening. We're starting to pay attention to what is tight, and then we release it. And how fun that I learned that through improv for anxiety. So anybody who has anxiety, seek out improv for anxiety. It's an extremely helpful and fun and enjoyable way to learn to let go and to soften into what is, and to trust what is. Yes, and for any of you who know improv, we don't say no. You never say no, because it just breaks the scene and it causes disruption and stops the flow. You say yes, and this is our approach to life. Yes, and keep in mind, there's always going to be more to purge and release. So there's no problem there. If there's something that needs to be purged and released, great. It is what it is. We love what is. Do also embrace sort of that coming down after the peak of intensity. It is decompression, not depression. really watch the mind, because it will want to try to tell you a story about how things are bad or wrong or broken, or it's always this way, or it's never going to change. That is wrong. That is false. Just because there is a downward turn in the energy, that does not mean that there's a problem in any single way. Notice too your desire to know what is coming, your desire to be in control, your impatience or wanting to make things happen, or trying to escape the discomfort of being in stillness or being in rest or being in that decompression, will distract you from the inner work that's actually going to catapult you forward. So things will move faster for those of us who can move through things more quickly, and that requires the presence and the willingness to be in the discomfort. And I would say collectively, in my experience as someone who helps people heal trauma, the biggest challenge that we have globally as a human society is the inability to be with the discomfort. Emotion is energy, and motion is the sensations in the body. When we look away and we distract and we pretend it's not there, we try to avoid it, we try to make things happen, we try to press forward, all we're doing is keeping these things locked in place. And those are your blocks. Those are your subconscious self-sabotaging patterns. So the more we can sit in the discomfort and just acknowledge it and love that sensation, love that discomfort as if it were your best friend, the faster things will move for you. Yeah, that's where the real progress comes. So your job is to rest in observation, become the observer, do not label, do not analyze, do not make meaning of it, just watch it and let it be what it is. Realize that we are only able to ingest through our eyes 0.0035% of reality. So that means there's a whole lot more out there that we are not currently able to see, but we have to empty out our old programs, our old perspectives, our old ways of thinking, so that we can allow ourselves to see the ocean of options that are out there. And if you want to kind of keep an eye on the channel, that is what I'm working on for this week, is really allowing ourselves to see the rest of reality and to start to create that, or allow ourselves to experience what already exists. And it is a challenging topic at hand, so stay tuned on that one. We do get to choose to look for and find what we want to see, but it does require sort of a deprogramming or a reprogramming or a deconditioning of how we have been taught to live and taught to see, taught to perceive. We are releasing in these moments the old ways of seeing. And I have these moments, especially this week, where it's almost like my eyes, I have new eyes for a split second. I can feel something, I can see something that wasn't there before, whether it's a way of being or a physical object. Things are moving, things are shifting. And we want to start by understanding that what we see around us is just an echo of the past. And I want to just pause on that, because I want you to really think about that, because we have been taught that what we see is evidence of our reality. And that's like, it's locked in, like we're married to it, like there's no changing it, or maybe even prisoner in it or of it or by it. But the truth is, what we see is an echo of the past. As within, so without means we are creating in every moment through our perspectives, our beliefs. Belief, I can't even underscore that enough. I mean, it came to me in 20-foot letters this weekend. And so that theme just is being reiterated, that what we choose to believe is what we will create from. And I love going back to the woman with the issue of blood. Woman, your faith has healed you. Her belief that she would be healed when she touched the hem of Jesus' garment is what healed her. Your belief is everything. Your belief is creating your reality. So you get to choose, what does this mean? All these things that I see out there, what does it mean? Is it evidence of my reality? Is it evidence of my value and worth? Is it evidence of my victimhood if I choose that perspective? Or could it be evidence of what I've historically believed and what I have historically created? Can it just be an echo of who I was yesterday, last week, last month? This is what we're purging. We're purging the program of how we perceive and how we create. right? We have to really look at our beliefs in how life works or what reality is, and know that it's all an illusion. Nothing is as they say it has been. Nothing is as they say it is. And I also heard the phrase this past week, we're in a trust recession. And that can be kind of scary because we don't know what to trust. Anybody could put a meme out there. Anybody could say anything on an energy reading. Anybody can say anything they want. And there's little to no fact checking. And even the fact checking is questionable. Everything's in question right now. And that could seem scary. It could seem destabilizing. It could seem disheartening. And if we allow ourselves to go down the rabbit hole of I'm a victim and I have no control and what's the point, then that's a really crappy place to be. And I'm sorry if that's the path that your energy has taken you, but do know you have another option. That as we move into this trust recession, we are learning to stop fully relying blindly on the things outside of us and start to learn to come within and be discerning and feel into what does truth feel like in my body? How do I sense? How do I unify even more deeply with my creator to understand truth, to get guidance for me? And yeah, again, going back to the analogy of, the closet with all the stuff stuffed into it and the door pressed shut, we have to pull all of this stuff out and it's going to look messy. But at the end of the day, we're going to have the opportunity to empty out all of the old garbage that's been hiding in that closet so we can let it go. And part of that is blind faith and trust in things that we should not be having faith in or trusting in, and learning to put our faith and our trust in the right place. And in the end, the light always wins. God always wins. So I have no concerns that this will turn out to work in our favor. So yeah, it is more difficult than ever to believe what we see with our own eyes. And that is a good thing because our eyes are deceiving us. 0.0035% of reality is actually able to come in through your eyes and be processed by your brain. So imagine all of the beautiful things that do exist that we have not historically been able to see because of the way we have seen, because of the way our eyes have worked, right? So no longer is it, I saw it with my own eyes and therefore it must be true. We are shifting how we perceive and how we measure what is truth, what is real, what is good. And remember, it's all just an echo of the past anyway, so it's all good, right? The lack of certainty is asking us to lean into discernment and use your body as that discernment tool. Start to practice reconnecting with your body. For those of you who have disassociated and you love astral travel and you love meditation because it takes you up and out of your body, let's remember the body is not the source of your pain. Although it has allowed you to feel that discomfort, it is not the problem. In fact, your body is more intelligent than your brain. Oftentimes the brain is the separation, is the illusion. And so the body is the temple. We want to reunite with the spirit that lives in our body and come back to oneness with our creator. We want to strengthen our connection with the creator and let God be your guide. Trust what you feel and receive. And this is a practice because it's, especially if you have unhealed trauma, your trauma brain will deceive you, and powerful, strong emotions will be triggered in your body when you experience things that are unhealed. And yet, as you move through the healing, you will start to learn that even those sensations or strong emotions that seem to be exaggerated or more powerful than the situation called for, they were not lying to you. They were helping point you towards something that needed healing. So you can trust your body. We just need to learn again how to decipher those things. I do have a free training to help you do that. So make sure that you connect with me either in the comments or click the link below. And I can teach you how to start to heal your body, remove the traumas from your body, which are your blocks and your subconscious programs that keep you stuck in those negative cycles, so that you can start to trust your body and learn to use your body as that discernment tool. Know that it will not always seem logical. The more faith and trust that it requires, the more you know you're on the right path. The divine often puts us through character building exercises or character building experiences or strengthening experiences that are going to level you up so that you have the capacity to hold your purpose, hold the big, beautiful gifts, the overflow of abundance that chases you down once you have gone through those tests. And again, if you have that sense of, I can't take anymore, I can't tolerate anymore, I don't want to go through that, I don't have the energy, I can't sustain any more pain, then that points to unhealed trauma. Again, you are the cup, your stress is the water. If you don't have capacity, you don't feel resilient enough, you don't feel tolerant enough, then that means you're full and you need to heal so that you can empty your cup. And tolerance does not mean allowing people to misbehave. It just means being able to get through it. But that's, again, a topic for another day. And I realize I'm talking really fast right now. So we're going to slow this down. Almost here. Yes. So the more trust and the more faith it requires, the more likely you are on the right path. Tune in, listen, follow the guidance that you are given, trust yourself. When you receive a step or two, you need to trust that you received everything you need to receive, and take that step. Many times we feel like, well, I want more guidance. I want to know the big vision. I want to know, I need more guidance. Give me more, give me more, give me more. And we're not taking the step or two we've been given. And then we get in, we feel frustrated, like God's not talking to me, or I don't feel supported, or I need more guidance, I don't know what to do. And really, that is not a lack of guidance or support on God's part. It's a lack of trust in the 2 steps we've been given. We will not be given more guidance if we don't take the steps that we've already been given. So also notice too how those parts of us want to throw a temper tantrum and say, I'm not supported. See, God's never there for me. When really we didn't take those 2 steps. Why would we be given any more? Sometimes people will say, well, it feels like God is silent, or it feels like I'm disconnected. And it's just that he's waiting for you to take the steps that you've been given. And I can speak from experience, and you're not alone in this. The guidance has come. We just decided it wasn't enough. And that's why things seem still or silent. He is waiting for us to take that next step. Sometimes the guidance is to rest. That does not necessarily mean waiting. Usually, for me, in my experience, I have 1 or 2 steps that I've been given that I'm working on, but they're longer term steps, things that are going to take some time. And so in between, as I'm working towards accomplishing that step or that goal, it is okay to rest. There's no hurry. The divine does not rush. All time is now, and the timing is perfectly in divine order. So just trust that. And there seems to be sort of this waiting and action, that it's a slow, drawn out process, and the rest in the action, or intermingled into the action, is very appropriate right now. So there is an interesting call to both rest and action, and to balance that in this moment. So just make sure you're feeling into the guidance in your body, and really tapping into what is right for you. There's plenty of time to rest in between the steps. There's no hurry. Everything is right on time. And that was kind of where the message stopped. It was like, everything's right on time. So there it is. I love you, my friends. Make sure you reach out. Let me know if you want to join us for the next free training coming up in August. And I will look forward to seeing you then. Take care. Namaste. Much love.